I'm Todd from Apex Base. I'm excited today to talk to you about the top-load tail pocket. This revolutionary design eliminates the line dump malfunction. Let's take a look. All right, so here we go. Here is the Apex top-load tail pocket. Notice a little different shape. We've got a little bit of an angled shape. We'll kind of talk about why that is later. The Velcro on this one is on the top. This is where we're going to open it. Okay, we no longer have the Velcro down here at the bottom. What we do have is an opening. We still need to get the lines in and out of the tail pocket right through here, but we're not going to do it in the traditional way. We're going to open this top side to reveal our area of where we're going to stow the lines. And again, you can see the opening still in a traditional place. The size of that opening, real important, okay? We've kept the size of that opening just like we would on a traditional tail pocket. I think that's definitely an important element to a top load. Something else that will look familiar to you would be the rubber band stow between the canopy and the tail pocket. It gets hidden until you dig a little bit, and there's your rubber band stow for those who like to do that primary stow. So there we go. The bottom here is completely sewn closed. The opening, like I said, is there. So let's stow this tail pocket. We'll start with the rubber band, that primary stow, like many people are used to using. Yeah, nothing really different going on there. So now, in order to get stowing the lines, we're going to open this tail pocket. The very first stow is a little different because now what we're going to do is we're going to get these lines into our tail pocket. There you go. You have to pass it right through the opening. From that point forward, you're just stowing lines more or less like you're used to. You're going to S-fold back and forth. We're doing a slight stack, kind of an offset stack. And once we have all the lines stowed, or to the point in which we want to be done, I'll slide that in a little bit. I'll work my side Velcro up and closed. And finally the top. So we can see that from here it looks like a normal tail pocket, maybe with the exception of the shape. And it's going to work like that as well. It's going to work like a normal tail pocket, but when we go to deploy this, we're not going to have all of this line, heavy, dynamically being lifted out of our container. We're not going to have all of that line slamming into these pieces of Velcro on the end. Obviously the Velcro works, but it wears out in time. So with the top load tail pocket, we don't have to worry about this coming open. But we have just enough room, or the right amount of room, to get these lines out on a consistent basis. So let's take a look at that. Got some shot bags here. I'm going to give it a toss. And there the lines are. They come out as we're used to seeing. Okay? We'll do this a couple more times and we'll show you kind of how this goes and let you see the consistency in which we can get these lines out. And so, again, we'll just continue to throw, pack and throw, and we can see how the lines are coming out. So this tail pocket, the top load tail pocket, went through years of testing. It all started out in the shop doing more or less what we're doing right now, playing with it. We did hundreds and hundreds of in-shop tests that spanned over several months. Then once we saw what we had here, we moved into the live test for skydiving. We had several people that were interested in jumping it for skydiving. We went through probably a year or so of that. Then we put it on our own personal base canopies and went through seasons of that. We also took a modified area, it looked just like this, took it to Bridge Day and asked people if they could make it malfunction. They did exactly what we had here. They'd lay it out, we'd do a pack, we'd throw it out, then we'd ask them to stow those lines and see if they could do it. What happens when you put it in there in a little different order? Now let's treat it like a rodeo rope. Let's go ahead and pull still got to get it in the tail pocket the same way, but let's kind of just be a little silly and say, what if you did this? Is this going to create some kind of crazy lock? Now, I would never, ever recommend doing this, but it was one of those things when we looked at it, we said, you know, even when you get that silly, right out stupid or dangerous, it still works. So let's continue. Let's play with some more stuff. So I'll take this line and I will, what silly thing should we do? Tell you what, why don't we take this stack and we'll flip it a couple times. Yeah, we'd never do that. But let's see what happens in case it did. But the lines continue to come out clean. And that's a big thing in itself. We need good, clean line deployment. But what we did was we were able to do it without the potential of line dump. So now we don't have to worry about the bottom portion of our tail pocket coming open. That's huge. We've guaranteed that you'll get a sequence deployment when it comes to your lines. You don't have your lines dumping out in your pack tray midway through deployment. They're gonna stay in this tail pocket through the line deployment. Hugely important. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode on top load tail pockets. If you have any other questions, let us know. Other than that, we'll see you at the exit point.